With bad news for a WWE return and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. On Busted Open Radio, MLW founder Court Bauer said this about MLW going live this year. The number one thing fans have been asking is, how can I see MLW live? That's been one of the things we've been working on since pre-pandemic. It was something we were working on with DAZN, and then DAZN's whole model changed and they went from attacking US to being more of an international business. Now, we're finally at that point where we're pretty deep in our conversations, and I can tell you that MLW is going live this year. We're developing a few tentpoles. We have established some such as War Chamber, Battle Riot, or Super Fight. For us, the next step is adding supercards to a lineup where you can watch live worldwide. We've had conversations and have now received bids. We should be announcing something before the summer. Now fans have a chance to not just hear about results and see it a few weeks later on TV. They'll have a weekly TV show, and they'll have this unique window to see MLW and see those fights only there. Wherever there is, we'll be talking about that soon. That's basically what I'm consumed with now. Besides putting together this weekly show is finishing off this deal. We're pumped, and being able to get into the mix with MLW Live is a huge part of our future. Speaking about joining Legado Del Fantasma in WWE, Zelina Vega mentioned to Out of Character. I mean, I was surprised, if I'm being honest. It was a surprise for me because it wasn't exactly the plan. It only became the plan literally the day before. But for me, I was like, okay, this is like a whole new challenge. Of course, for me, I'd love to see all of us draped in gold because that's the vision, that's the goal right there. Recalling her WrestleMania match with Becky Lynch and Lita against Damage Control, Trish Stratus revealed that she was hampered by an injury, telling Busted Open Radio, "I had a few obstacles. I had a partially torn hamstring, by the way. Nobody knew about that. It was just like WrestleMania, let's just go. This time I had this injury, so I was a little unsure going in, but man, there's something about feeling at home. It's like riding a bike. As you guys know, when we get back in there, your body's like, I got this, just do your thing, and it just flows. I've kept my health and fitness up, and that always plays into it as well. I am good in those moments, right? I work well under pressure. I always feel like I have to prove myself every time I go out there. So that was like a big driving force for me that evening, was to go out and prove that I belong in this match, that I belong with these other talented women, and that I still belong here, period." Touching on the possibility of AEW splitting their roster with a Saturday television show, Eric Bischoff said this on his Strictly Business podcast. "Good luck. You deserve whatever you get. Turner, you're a freaking mess. You're not the company you used to be. There are executives in that company that couldn't find their ass with both hands and a compass when it comes to making a good decision if this is the direction that they're going. Good freaking luck. If these reports that the show is being created just to help keep people on the AEW roster away from each other, but get them all on television during the same week are true, then there are some dumbasses in Turner Broadcasting right now. If this is how things play out, then AEW is a joke, and so is Turner." With Goldberg wanting to have a proper send-off bout in pro wrestling, this was said by Ringside News regarding a pitch made in WWE. WWE is not talking about Goldberg's retirement right now. We were told an interesting factoid though. Paul Heyman once pitched a Goldberg retirement angle that Vince McMahon liked before his scandal erupted. Adding to the news of Goldberg wanting a final match, Ringside News noted that Goldberg is getting a lot of attention as he demands a retirement match. We reached out to confirm this story, and we were told that there is no discussion about Goldberg at all in WWE right now. It was added, Goldberg might have to travel outside WWE to make his retirement match happen. We were told at this point, WWE is not talking about giving him that match, but they are aware that he could go to AEW or book it himself. Speaking about his previous run with Impact Wrestling and going up against Kushida, Lio Rush told Muscleman Malcolm, "Impact was incredible. I think that was a huge milestone for me in my career. I've been to a lot of different promotions, a lot of independent promotions, a lot of different television promotions, and I've done it all at a fairly young age. I'm proud of that. And Impact is another one of those places where I grew up watching and idolizing the wrestlers who were in the X division, and the product was so exciting to watch. I was a huge fan of the video game. I played the video game back in the day. Wrestling for Impact nonetheless was incredible. It was a feel-good moment, and it was cool that I was able to wrestle against a legend in Kushida. I feel like it was a match made in heaven, and it was supposed to happen. I'd love to show face and Impact in the future. Hopefully that happens. Yeah, a lot going on right now, and like I said, you never know. If that opportunity came, I'd be ready to make my own impact. It seems an NXT star could be called up to the main roster, as WRKD Wrestling wrote. After a well-received match on Main Event against Dolph Ziggler, NXT's Tyler Bate has been mentioned internally as a potential call-up during the upcoming WWE draft. Talking about the debut of Jay White in AEW, Conan said this on Keeping It 100. "I've seen him do some good promos. He doesn't come off like a star, and the problem is that Tony Khan has painted himself into a corner. You know, when you watch these shows like Cribs and like that, and the guy has got like 50 cars, and you're like, okay, when do you find time to drive them? Do you drive one every day? What's the deal here? He's just another great wrestler in a promotion full of great wrestlers. What's your gimmick? What's your gimmick? That you're a part of the Bullet Club and..." During an interview with Fightful, AEW champion MJF was asked about Cody Rhodes losing to Roman Reigns, as he said, "Oof, that is a loaded question. So me and Cody Rhodes, we have an interesting past. He's been my friend, he's been my mortal enemy, all wrapped in a cute little bow. I think he came across like a top guy. I think he's transformed his body like I have in the past year. But let's be honest, I'm bigger than him, and I'm in better shape than he is. But he looked like a top guy. He was presented as a top guy, he had a top guy outing, he had a top guy match. He just didn't win, and unfortunately, some nights you don't win. But Cody Rhodes, I think, is the epitome of putting the work in. Everything that he's accomplished is literally only because of him, and he's far too humble to admit that. He'll say it has something to do with somebody else. He got it done himself, and he should be proud of that. Was I happy to see him lose at Mania? I don't know if I would have been happy if he won or lost. All I know is that he had an incredible outing, and it was probably the best match of the entire night. Responding to reports of not taking advice from veterans, Hangman Page said this on Instagram. "The reports that I don't take advice have been greatly exaggerated, perhaps by no more so than me. Advice and feedback, particularly from those who have come before, have always been and always will be welcomed and appreciated. My self-deprecating and dry insistence otherwise just comes from a place of being more personally interested in wrestling as an art than a sport. It would have been hollow for Picasso to try to paint a Mona Lisa. I kind of thought I'd have been asked about it by now and could have clarified. I just wouldn't want any of the older generation, especially those who work with us, is vital and unknown to fans, to feel that their wisdom is dismissed. I am also still in search of the cheese puffs. Let me know if you find them. Thank you." Explaining why he is shutting down his podcast, Dax Harwood said on FTR, "When we started this podcast, we just wanted to do good for wrestling. I was looking forward to, and I still did, looking forward to bringing my thoughts on psychology, in-ring action, and what I thought was good wrestling, my love for Bret Hart, and break down some of the things that we had done in our career and some of our biggest moments. Never in a million years, I knew that we probably would ruffle a few feathers. I know that I can. The only thing I should apologize for is how the journalists and the news sites took a section of something I said and made it seem like I was such a bad human being. I want to apologize to not only my fans, I want to apologize to the people who already didn't like me and fans of, for example, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, fans of MJF, or anybody else who I may have upset. I want to apologize to them because I never wanted you to hate me so much that you would say some of the things you said to me. Going into this podcast, I never thought that would happen, and I hate that it happened. Again, I thought I was way more mentally tough than I am, but I admit that I'm not. And I don't think I can handle some of the things things that are said. I also don't know if I want my daughter 10 years from now to read some of the things that are said about me, but ultimately, we all wanted to do good for wrestling, and I don't think that this podcast, as much as we tried, as hard as we tried, I don't think the podcast was reflecting that for whatever reason. With Vince McMahon previously involved in the creative process for last week's Monday Night Raw, this was said about his status at the most recent Raw by Fightful. Vince McMahon was not at this week's Raw. As Seth Rollins apparently walked out on the Raw after WrestleMania, presumably due to creative changes during the show, this was said about him having backstage heat by Sean Ross Sapp. Seth Rollins and WWE have no issues based on those we spoke to. Amidst reported contract negotiations with New Japan, Mercedes Mone posted that she is definitely moving full-time to Japan and added that it is time to learn Japanese. When it comes to a WWE return for Alexa Bliss, Steve Carrier reported that we asked around about Alexa Bliss, and we were told that despite all the hope in the world from fans that she will be back soon, there are no current plans. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.